Evelyn's stomach made a loud growling sound. Again, she pressed her hand against her belly and tried to pretend she didn't hear it. But the pain was real, sharp, like someone was twisting a knife inside her. 2 days. It had been 2 whole days since she last ate. She stood in the grand hallway of the Harlan mansion, holding a feather duster that felt as heavy as a brick. Everything around her was shiny and perfect. Marble floors, so clean you could see her face in them. Golden frames around paintings of people who looked down their noses at her. Crystal lights hanging from the ceiling like frozen waterfalls. Beautiful, cold, empty, just like her stomach. Evelyn Brooks! A sharp voice cut through the silence. She jumped. The duster fell from her hands and clattered on the floor. Mr. Marcus Reed stood at the end of the hallway. The head butler, tall, thin, with eyes like frozen chips of ice. His black suit was perfect, not a wrinkle anywhere. His shoes clicked on the marble as he walked toward her. Click, click, click. Each step made Evelyn's heart beat faster. "Pick that up," he said. His voice was quiet but scary, like the hiss of a snake. "Yes, Mr. Reed." Evelyn bent down quickly and grabbed the duster. Her head spun. The room tilted sideways for a second. She was so hungry. "You've been working here for 6 months," Mr. Reed said, standing over her. 6 months, and you still drop things like a clumsy child. "I'm sorry, sir." Sorry doesn't clean the silver. Sorry doesn't polish the floors. He looked at her with those cold eyes. "If you can't do the work, there are 100 other girls who can." Evelyn felt tears burning behind her eyes, but she wouldn't let them fall. She couldn't. If she cried, Mr. Reed would call her weak. If he called her weak, she'd lose this job. And if she lost this job, her mother would die. "I can do the work, sir," she whispered. "Then do it. The master's study needs cleaning. The library. The east wing bedrooms. All before sunset." He checked his gold pocket watch. "You have 4 hours." 4 hours. For work that normally took 8. Mr. Reed. Evelyn's voice shook. Could I please have something to eat first? Just a piece of bread. Anything. I haven't. You haven't earned it." The words hit her like a slap. "But I've been working since sunrise," she said. "I cleaned the kitchen. I washed all the windows. The rules are simple, Evelyn." Mr. Reed's face didn't change. "No kindness. No mercy. Finish your work. Then you eat. Discipline keeps this house running. Discipline keeps order. Please, Mr. Reed. I'm so hungry I can barely stand." "Then perhaps you should work faster." He turned away. 4 hours. Don't disappoint me." His footsteps echoed down the hallway. Click, click, click. Then he was gone. Evelyn stood there, shaking. The duster trembled in her hand. She wanted to scream. She wanted to run. But where would she go? Home? Where her mother lay in bed, coughing blood into old rags. Where her little brother Tommy, only 9 years old, tried to be brave but cried at night because he was scared. This job paid for her mother's medicine. This job bought food for Tommy. This job kept a roof over their heads. She couldn't leave. She wouldn't. Evelyn took a deep breath and started walking toward the study. Each step felt like climbing a mountain. Her legs were weak. Her head was fuzzy. But she moved. In the study, she dusted the shelves. Thousands of books that she'd never read. Books about science and history and faraway places. Books that cost more than she'd make in a year. In the library, she swept the floors. The broom felt so heavy. Her arms ached. In the bedrooms, she changed the sheets. White sheets that smelled like expensive soap. Soft, clean, nothing like the thin blanket she shared with Tommy at home. The whole time, her stomach screamed at her. It hurt so bad she had to stop and lean against the wall. The room spun around her like a merry-go-round. "Keep going," she whispered to herself. "Just keep going." Through the window, she saw the sun getting lower. Orange and pink filled the sky. Beautiful. But to Evelyn, it just meant time was running out. She thought about Tommy. Last night, before she left for work, he'd hugged her tight. "Evie," he'd said, "when are you coming home?" "Soon, little bug." Soon. Will you bring food? The question had broken her heart. Yes, I promise. But Mr. Reed had taken her wages last week. He said she broke a plate and had to pay for it. She hadn't broken anything. But who would believe her? She was just a maid. He was the head butler. So now Tommy was hungry. Her mother was hungry. And she was hungry. The sky turned dark purple. Then black. Stars came out, tiny and far away. Evelyn finished her work at sunset. Exactly at sunset. She walked back to the servants' area on legs that felt like they might break. Other workers were there. Maria, who cleaned the bathrooms. James, who tended the garden. Old Thomas, who drove the car. All of them looked tired. All of them looked thin. Any food tonight? Maria whispered hopefully. James shook his head. Mr. Reed says the kitchen is closed. He says we were too slow today. But I didn't eat yesterday either, Maria said. Tears ran down her face. I'm so tired. We're all tired, old Thomas said. His voice was sad. But what can we do? We need these jobs. Evelyn listened to them and felt a heaviness in her chest. It wasn't just her. Mr. Reed was cruel to everyone. The other workers went to their small rooms. The mansion had 50 bedrooms for guests, but the workers slept in a basement with stone walls and no windows. Cold, damp, dark. Evelyn couldn't sleep. Her stomach hurt too much. She lay on her thin mattress and stared at the ceiling. Hours passed. Midnight came. The mansion was silent. Then she heard something. A tiny sound. Clink, clink. She sat up. What was that? Clink, clink. It came from upstairs. Evelyn got up slowly. She walked up the stone steps from the basement, through the dark hallway, following the sound. It led her to the kitchen. The kitchen was huge. Shiny pots hung from hooks. A massive stove sat against one wall. Counters made of marble. Everything was clean and organized. And there, on the floor in the corner, was a white bowl, a dog's bowl. Mr. Harlan's dog, a big golden retriever named Duke, had his own special spot. The bowl was full of food, chunks of real meat, rice, vegetables. The dog wasn't there. Duke slept in Mr. Harlan's room upstairs. But the food was there. Evelyn stared at it. Her whole body started shaking. Not from cold, from something else. Something that felt like falling off a cliff. She took one step closer. Then another. The food in the dog's bowl looked better than anything she'd eaten in months. Her stomach growled so loud it echoed in the quiet kitchen. She stood there, staring down at the bowl, and felt something inside her break. Just one bite, she thought. Just one small bite, and maybe the pain will stop. Her hand reached out, trembling, moving toward the bowl on the floor. Evelyn's hand hung in the air above the dog's bowl. Don't do it. A voice in her head whispered, You're better than this. But another voice, louder and meaner, said, You're starving. Who cares about pride when you're dying? Her fingers moved closer, closer, so close she could smell the food. Rich, warm, real. She looked around the dark kitchen. Nobody was there. Nobody would know. Just one bite. Evelyn dropped to her knees on the cold floor. Her hand reached into the bowl and grabbed a piece of meat. It felt warm and soft. She lifted it toward her mouth. Crash! A door slammed somewhere in the mansion. Evelyn froze. Her heart stopped. The meat fell from her hand back into the bowl. Footsteps. Heavy. Getting closer. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. She tried to stand up, but her legs wouldn't work. She'd been on her knees, and now they felt like jelly. The footsteps were in the hallway now, coming toward the kitchen. The lights flicked on. Bright, blinding. Evelyn squeezed her eyes shut. What in the world? That voice. Deep, surprised. Not Mr. Reed's voice. Evelyn's eyes opened slowly. She looked up from the floor. A man stood in the doorway. Tall, maybe 40 years old. Dark hair with bits of gray at the sides. Wearing an expensive suit that probably cost more than her house. His eyes were wide with shock. Mr. Victor Harland. The owner of the mansion, the billionaire, he was supposed to be away on business. He never came home this early. But there he was, staring down at her. And there she was, on her knees, on the floor, next to a dog's bowl, with food on her fingers. For a long moment, neither of them moved. The kitchen was so quiet Evelyn could hear her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. Victor's mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. "What are you doing?" he finally asked. His voice wasn't angry, just confused, like he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Evelyn tried to speak, but no words came out. Her throat felt tight and hot. Tears filled her eyes and spilled down her cheeks. I, she whispered. Victor took a step into the kitchen. He looked at the dog's bowl, at her hands, at her face. Really looked at her face for the first time. Evelyn knew what he saw. Hollow cheeks, dark circles under her eyes, skin stretched tight over bones. She looked like a ghost. Are you eating Duke's food?" Victor asked slowly. The words made Evelyn want to disappear into floor. Shame crashed over her like a giant wave. Hot, suffocating, terrible. She was eating from a dog's bowl. She was so low, so desperate, so broken that she was eating scraps meant for an animal. "I'm sorry," she choked out. "I'm so sorry. Please don't fire me. Please. I need this job. My mother is sick. My brother." Her voice cracked and the tears came harder. "I haven't eaten in 2 days. I was so hungry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Victor's face changed. The confusion melted away. Something else appeared. Something that looked like pain. 2 days, he repeated. "You haven't eaten in 2 days?" Evelyn nodded. She couldn't look at him anymore. She stared at the floor, at the white tiles that she'd scrubbed. Clean just yesterday. Why not? Victor asked. "Mr. Reed," Evelyn whispered. "He says we can't eat until all our work is done. But the work never ends. There's always more cleaning, more tasks, more things to do. And if we're too slow, he closes the kitchen. He says discipline keeps the house running." Victor was very quiet. When Evelyn dared to glance up, she saw his jaw was tight. His hands were clenched into fists. "Mr. Reed said this?" Victor's voice was different now. Harder, cold like ice. "My head butler has been starving my staff." "It's not just me," Evelyn said quickly. The words tumbled out now, like water bursting through a broken dam. "It's everyone. Maria hasn't eaten properly in a week. James faints sometimes while working in the garden. Old Thomas is so weak he can barely drive. We're all hungry. We're all tired. But we can't complain because Mr. Reed says if we do, we'll lose our jobs." She was talking too much, saying too much. Mr. Reed would be furious if he knew she was telling the master all this. But she couldn't stop. "He takes our wages too," she continued, her voice shaking. "He says we break things or work too slow or make mistakes. Last week, he said I broke a plate. I didn't. I know I didn't. But he took my whole week's pay. My mother needs medicine. My little brother needs food. I work 16 hours every day, and I can't even feed them." Evelyn covered her face with her hands. She was crying so hard her whole body shook. Everything she'd been holding inside for 6 months came pouring out. The fear, the hunger, the hopelessness. "I'm not a bad person," she sobbed. "I'm not. But I was so hungry. I thought just one bite wouldn't hurt. I thought nobody would know. I'm sorry. I'm so ashamed." Strong hands suddenly gripped her shoulders. Evelyn looked up, terrified. But Victor wasn't angry. His eyes were red, like he might cry too. "Stand up," he said gently. "Please, stand up." He helped her to her feet. Evelyn swayed, dizzy and weak. Victor steadied her. "Sit," he said, pulling out a chair from the kitchen table. "Sit down right now." Evelyn sat. She didn't know what else to do. Victor moved around the kitchen quickly. He opened the big refrigerator, pulled out bread, cheese, meat, fruit. He grabbed a plate from the cabinet. His hands moved fast, making a sandwich. A big sandwich with layers of turkey and cheese and lettuce. He put it in front of her. "Eat," he said. Evelyn stared at the sandwich, then at him. "But," Mr. Reed said. "I don't care what Mr. Reed said." Victor's voice was like thunder. "I am the master of this house, not him, and I'm telling you to eat. Now." Evelyn picked up the sandwich with shaking hands. She took a bite. It was the most delicious thing she'd ever tasted. She ate and ate and ate. Tears streamed down her face the whole time, but she couldn't stop. The food was too good. Her stomach was too empty. Victor watched her. His face looked strange. Sad, angry, guilty, all mixed together. "How long has this been going on?" he asked quietly. Evelyn swallowed. 6 months. Since I started working here. But it got worse the last few weeks. 6 months. Victor said it like he couldn't believe it. He ran his hand through his hair. 6 months of this happening in my own house. And I didn't know. I didn't see. "You're away a lot, sir," Evelyn said softly. "On business trips. And when you're home, Mr. Reed makes sure everything looks perfect. He makes sure we're out of sight. We eat in the basement. We're not supposed to bother you." "Bother me?" Victor's voice rose. "You're human beings. You work in my home. And you've been treated like... He couldn't finish the sentence. He looked at the dog's bowl on the floor. His face went pale. "I found you eating Duke's food," he said quietly. "A human being, eating from my dog's bowl, because my staff was too cruel to feed you." "It's not your fault, sir," Evelyn said quickly. "You didn't know. It's my fault." Victor's shout made Evelyn jump. "This is my house. These are my employees. I hired Mr. Reed. I trusted him. I didn't pay attention. I didn't ask questions. I let this happen." He looked at Evelyn with eyes full of pain. "I'm sorry," he said. "I am so sorry." Evelyn had never heard a billionaire apologize before. She didn't know what to say. Victor's face changed then. The guilt turned into something else. Something fierce and hot and dangerous. Anger. "Where's Mr. Reed now?" he asked. "In his room, I think, in the West Wing." Victor pulled out his phone. His fingers moved fast across the screen. "I'm calling an emergency meeting. Every staff member. Everyone who works in this house. Right now. In the main hall." "But, sir, it's 1 a.m. "I don't care if it's 4 a.m. Victor looked at her, and Evelyn saw something burning in his eyes. Something that looked like justice. "This ends tonight." 20 minutes later, the main hall was full of people. Evelyn stood near the back wall, still trembling. Her stomach was full for the first time in days, but fear had replaced the hunger. What was going to happen now? All the workers were there. Maria, James, old Thomas, the cooks, the gardeners, the drivers, about 30 people total. They all looked scared and confused. Nobody got called to meetings in the middle of the night unless something terrible had happened. They whispered to each other. Did someone get hurt? Are we losing our jobs? Is the master angry? Then the big doors at the front opened. Mr. Reed walked in. He looked perfect as always. Black suit pressed and neat, hair combed smooth, but his eyes were cold and annoyed. He didn't like being woken up. "What is the meaning of this?" he demanded. "Why have the staff been gathered at this absurd hour?" Nobody answered. Everyone looked at the floor. Then Victor Harlan walked in behind him. The room went completely silent. Victor's face was hard. His eyes blazed with anger that he wasn't hiding anymore. He looked at all the workers. Really looked at them. At their thin faces. Their tired eyes. Their hollow cheeks. "Mr. Reed," Victor said. His voice was quiet, but everyone could hear it. "Please stand in the center of the room." Mr. Reed's eyebrows went up. "Sir, I don't understand." "Center of the room." Victor's voice cracked like a whip. Mr. Reed's face went pale. He walked to the middle of the hall. For the first time since Evelyn had known him, he looked nervous. Victor turned to face all the workers. "I want to ask you all a question," he said, "and I want honest answers. No one will be punished for telling the truth. I promise you that." The workers looked at each other. Scared, unsure. How many of you, Victor continued, have gone without food because Mr. Reed denied you meals? Silence. Nobody moved. Evelyn's heart pounded. She looked at Maria, at James, at old Thomas. They all looked terrified. Please, Victor said, and his voice was softer now. I need to know the truth. Slowly, like a flower opening in the sun, Maria raised her hand. Then James raised his. Then old Thomas. Then more hands. And more. And more. Evelyn raised her hand too. Almost every person in the room had their hand up. Victor closed his eyes. When he opened them again, they were wet with tears. How long? He asked. How long has this been happening? A year, someone whispered. Maybe longer. 2 years for me, another voice said. Since I started working here, said a third. Mr. Reed's face turned red. This is ridiculous. These people are exaggerating. They're quiet. Victor roared. The word echoed off the marble walls. Mr. Reed's mouth snapped shut. Victor walked closer to him. I found one of my employees on her knees tonight, on the floor, eating from my dog's bowl, because she was so hungry she couldn't stand it anymore. Gasps filled the room. People turned to look at each other. Some started crying. That employee, Victor continued, pointing at Evelyn, is Evelyn Brooks. She's worked in this house for 6 months. She works 16 hours a day. She hasn't eaten in 2 days because you told her she couldn't have food until her work was done. Mr. Reed's jaw tightened. Discipline is necessary. Without rules, there would be chaos. Discipline. Victor's shout made everyone jump. You call starving people discipline? You call taking their wages discipline? You call treating human beings worse than animals discipline? Sir, I was only trying to maintain order in your household. My household. Victor stepped closer to Mr. Reed. They were face to face now. This is my house, not yours. These are my employees, not your slaves. And you have been abusing them. For years. Under my roof. In my name. Mr. Reed tried to speak, but no words came out. How many wages have you stolen? Victor demanded. How many meals have you denied? How many people have you threatened and bullied and broken? I never. Don't lie to me. Victor's voice shook with rage. I found the proof tonight. I spoke to Evelyn, and now I'm speaking to everyone else. The truth is out, Mr. Reed, and there's no going back. Mr. Reed's face crumbled. The confidence drained away. He suddenly looked small and old and scared. I was just trying to run an efficient house, he whispered. No, Victor said coldly. You were drunk on power. You enjoyed making people suffer. You enjoyed feeling important and strong. But you're not strong. You're a bully, and bullies don't belong in my home. Victor turned to face everyone. Mr. Marcus Reed, you are fired. Effective immediately. Pack your things. You have 1 hour to leave this property. If you're still here after that, I'll call the police. Mr. Reed's eyes went wide. You can't. I've worked here for 15 years. You've abused people here for 15 years, Victor corrected. And that ends now. Get out. 2 security guards appeared at the door. They walked over and stood on either side of Mr. Reed. This way, sir, one of them said. Mr. Reed looked around the room, at all the faces staring at him, the people he'd hurt, the people he'd controlled. They stared back, and for the first time, he saw them as human beings instead of tools. His shoulders slumped. He walked out of the hall between the 2 guards. The big doors closed behind him with a loud boom. He was gone. For a moment, nobody breathed. Then someone started clapping. Just one person. Then another. Then another. Soon the whole room was clapping and cheering and crying. Maria hugged James. Old Thomas laughed for the first time in years. People were smiling through their tears. Victor held up his hand. The room went quiet again. I owe all of you an apology, he said. His voice was thick with emotion. I should have paid attention. I should have seen what was happening. I didn't. And because of that, you suffered. I'm sorry. It's not your fault, sir, old Thomas said. You didn't know. But I should have known, Victor replied. This is my responsibility, and I'm going to make it right. He pulled out a piece of paper from his pocket. Starting tomorrow, these are the new rules. First, everyone eats 3 meals a day. No exceptions. No punishments. Food is a right, not a reward. More cheers. Second, fair wages. What you earn is yours. No one can take it from you. And everyone is getting a raise. Effective immediately. People started crying again. Happy tears this time. Third, reasonable working hours. No more 16-hour days. 8 hours of work. Proper rest. Proper breaks. Fourth, respect. You are not servants. You are employees. You are human beings. And you will be treated with dignity. Victor looked directly at Evelyn. Evelyn Brooks, I want to offer you a promotion. I need a new head of household staff. Someone who understands what it means to suffer. Someone who will never let others suffer the way you did. Are you interested? Evelyn's mouth fell open. Me? But I'm just a maid. I don't. You're strong, Victor said. You survived. You endured. And tonight, your courage changed everything. I think you'd be perfect for the job. Evelyn felt tears streaming down her face. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I'll do it. The room exploded with applause. Victor smiled. A real smile. Then it settled. Tomorrow we start fresh. All of us. Together. 3 months later, Evelyn stood in the kitchen, watching the morning sun pour through the windows. She looked different now. Healthier. Her cheeks had color. Her eyes were bright. She'd gained weight. She didn't look like a ghost anymore. She wore a clean uniform. Not fancy, but nice. Comfortable. Around her, the other workers prepared breakfast, not just for themselves, but for everyone. The kitchen smelled like fresh bread and coffee and bacon. Maria laughed at something James said. Old Thomas hummed while he read the newspaper. The new cooks chatted happily while they worked. The mansion felt different now. Warmer. Lighter. Like someone had opened all the windows and let the sunlight in. Evelyn's phone buzzed. A text from Tommy. Thanks for the new shoes, Evie. And Mom says the medicine is working. She walked to the window today. Love you. Evelyn smiled and wiped her eyes. Her mother was getting better. Tommy was happy. And she wasn't just surviving anymore. She was living. The dog, Duke, trotted into the kitchen. He went straight to his bowl, which was full of expensive dog food. Evelyn looked at that bowl and remembered the night everything changed. The night she was so desperate, so broken, that she almost ate from it. She'd been so ashamed then. But now she understood something important. That night wasn't her lowest moment. It was her turning point. Sometimes you have to fall all the way down before someone can help you back up. Victor walked into the kitchen. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mr. Harland, they all called back. He poured himself coffee and sat at the table with the staff, like he was one of them, because now he understood that he was. Evelyn, he said, how are things running? Perfectly, sir, she replied with a smile. Good, because I'm thinking about opening my other houses too, making sure everyone is treated right. Would you help me? I'd be honored. Victor nodded. You know, that night I found you, it changed me. I realized I'd been living in a palace and ignoring the people who made it possible. I won't make that mistake again. We all make mistakes, Evelyn said softly. What matters is what we do after. Victor smiled. You're very wise. I'm just someone who learned that even in the darkest moments, there's hope. You just have to be brave enough to speak up. And as the morning sun filled the kitchen with golden light, Evelyn knew that was the truth. Speaking up had saved her, and speaking up could save others too. The end. Did this story touch your heart? Does it make you think about the people around you who might be suffering in silence? Stories like Evelyn's happen every day. People who work hard but aren't treated fairly. People who are hungry but too afraid to speak up. People who need someone to see them and help them. If this story moved you, please like this video. Your like tells me you care about these important stories. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe it's someone who's struggling. Maybe it's someone who has the power to help others but doesn't realize it. Share it and start a conversation that could change someone's life. And please subscribe to this channel for more powerful stories that reveal the truth behind closed doors. Every week, I share tales of courage, hope, justice, and change. Stories that matter. Stories that make you feel something real. Drop a comment below. Have you ever witnessed unfair treatment at work? Have you ever had to stand up for yourself or someone else? What would you have done if you were Victor? Your thoughts and experiences matter, and I read every single comment. Your voice matters. Your click matters. Together, we can shine a light on injustice and celebrate the moments when good wins. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring. And thank you for being part of this community. Until next time, remember, sometimes the smallest voice can create the biggest change.